Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission here, well, it's pretty simple. We take dense sources, books, research, you name it, and we pull out the most useful, actionable insights just for you. Think of it as your shortcut to really getting it. So today we are doing a deep dive into the, let's say, messy reality of starting a side hustle or a creative business right from square one. Our main source, it's excerpts from this fantastic book, The Grind Behind the Buttercream.
Right, and if you hear that title and just think, oh, baking, you're kind of missing the bigger picture. The author is really clear this is not a cookbook.
Yo, definitely not.
It's more like a roadmap, focused on the real-life lessons, growing pains, and mindset shifts. And honestly, that stuff applies whether you're building an app, starting consulting, or, even baking cakes.
That's exactly it. We're not really focused on the finished cake here. It's the process. We want to figure out what's really needed, and maybe more importantly, what you don't need when you try to turn a hobby you love into something that, well, pays.
Yeah, we're looking at resilience, self-worth, and why maybe being okay with imperfection is like your secret weapon.
Totally.
And what I love about this source is how honest it feels. The author promises, not some polished, sugar-coated success story, but the real deal about the 12 years it took. 12 years of effort to get from nothing to something sustainable.
And that feels like the core promise of this deep dive, doesn't it? This is really, for anyone listening who's maybe watching YouTube tutorials thinking, maybe I could do that. But then you feel totally overwhelmed or like you're not qualified or you just, don't know where to even begin. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's get into the genesis of the grind. So the author's beginning, it's kind of the anti-success story we all need right now, I think.
Yeah, how so?
Well, she didn't go to culinary school. She still doesn't have a physical shop. She never had that viral moment online.
Okay.
Her motivation for starting wasn't some, grand artistic vision or a lifelong passion for decorating. It was pure, simple necessity.
Ugh. Okay, so it really boils down to a very practical problem. Like, she needed money for her family.
Exactly.
She started baking simply because she couldn't afford birthday cakes for her two sons. They're, 18 and 21 now, I think she says?
Yeah.
That's a really personal starting point, isn't it? It makes it way more relatable than some business school case study.
Oh, totally. And the details from those first tries are just incredible.
Yeah.
They show that resourcefulness started literally at step one. For her youngest son's first birthday, boxed cake mix,
standard enough,
jar of store-bought chocolate icing, and she topped it with Reese's Pieces arranged into a number one.
Cute.
But here's the kicker.
Yeah.
She didn't even have a cake plate. She used a big Tupperware lid.
Wow. Okay. That little detail, it says so much, doesn't it, about where she was financially and just making something happen with nothing.
Absolutely. And she even throws in a little tip. If the cake isn't too high, the Tupperware bowl itself makes a decent cover. We've all been there, right? Trying to cover something awkward.
Yeah, definitely.
And then a few years later, for her older son, Jaden, turning 7, same kind of thing. 2 small cakes decorated with candies again. Looking back at the photos, she calls them horrible.
Ouch, but,
and this is key, she adds, they were made from love.
Right, and that seems to be the foundation for everything that follows. Even when she got her LPN salary, that's licensed practical nurse, it was the most money she'd ever made. But, she explains, the cost of living was just so high, money was still incredibly tight. So that need for extra cash didn't go away. The drive was purely financial survival, really.
So she had the why, but what skill did she lean on first, it sounds like? Resourcefulness.
Definitely. Before the baking thing really became a business, she was already relying on that trait. She mentions, honing it since she was a teenager, braiding hair, babysitting, anything for extra money.
And that brings us to this Alamsa, this pre-baking hustle she tried, which I think is fascinating because it really highlights her early challenges.
Okay, what was that?
When money was tight, she decided to sell Sunday dinner plates, home-cooked meals. It's probably a pretty common way to make quick cash in the South.
Ah, right, like soul food plates.
Yeah, exactly. She'd text contacts, mostly friends and family, with a menu for the week and arrange pickups.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
But when sales were slow, she had to get aggressive. She actually pack up the leftover plates and drive around to local barbershops trying to sell them.
Wow, really? Like cold calling with food?
Pretty much. Even discounting the price just to get rid of them. Literally going door to door, hustling.
Okay, wait. So she tried this really intense face-to-face marketing approach, and then she stopped selling the dinners. Why? What happened?
This is where it gets super interesting. The reason the hustle stopped, She says it's because she is such an introverted person.
Ah.
And she admits her traditional marketing skills were, quote, almost non-existent. That kind of aggressive personal selling just completely wiped her out.
Okay, that makes sense. But then that raises a big question, right? How does someone with intense introversion who failed at that kind of marketing suddenly succeed with cakes later? Did she, like, overcome the introversion?
Well, according to the book, not really. It didn't just disappear. She notes the marketing problem definitely carried over to the cakes at first.
Right.
But it was eventually mitigated. Not by some personality transplant, but, and this is her phrase, thanks to the growth of social media.
Ah, so it wasn't about changing her personality. It was about finding a different platform, a way to market that actually worked with her introversion.
Exactly. That is such a huge insight, I think, for anyone listening. Maybe you don't have to fix your perceived weakness. Maybe you just need to find a different arena to play in.
Yeah, find the right tool for you.
Right. But okay, let's talk about the cakes themselves.
Yeah.
Because getting them right, that was a long road too, wasn't it? Uneven. She went from boxed mix to homemade, then back again.
Oh yeah, she's brutally honest about it. She described those early cakes as not professional and very unattractive. Often lopsided, uneven frosting. She even admits she used sprinkles like camouflage. Her comparison was makeup on a bad day.
Love that. We've all been there.
Totally. And she also says she moved way too fast, trying complex stuff like fondant before she'd even mastered getting a cake level and smoothly frosted. The basics.
That's the classic trap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jump into the fancy stuff before you nail the foundation. So with all these flaws, what kept her going if the cakes weren't great yet?
It wasn't about technical praise. It was pure human connection. She says people still smiled when they saw the cakes, even the horrible ones. And, quote, those smiles kept me going.
Wait, hang on. So the cakes were, by her own account, horrible, but the smiles were enough fuel. That sounds a little too simple, maybe. Was the baking itself actually good, or was she just, like, selling the idea of a homemade cake?
That's a fair question, and she kind of addresses that nuance. She acknowledges the early cakes were technically bad, but the smile wasn't validation of the product, you know. It was validation of the effort. The effort of a mom making something special for her kid or for someone else's celebration. The currency she was getting back then was encouragement, maybe love, but not like critical acclaim for her baking skills.
Got it. So that encouragement sustained her until her skills caught up.
Exactly. That sustained her long enough to actually get better.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
The validation was for the human act and the actual shift from just baking for friends to it being a business. That was also pretty informal.
Totally informal. No big launch party, no business plan reveal. She remembers it just happened because one day someone offered to pay me for a cake.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. And that's such a real turning point for so many creative people, isn't it? When someone else puts a monetary value on what you still just see as your hobby.
Yeah, that first paying customer.
Yeah.
So stepping back, what's the big lesson here? It doesn't sound like it's about having the perfect recipe or the best technique right away.
No, not at all. It seems the real takeaway is about the mindset shift needed to even accept that payment. The author is upfront. She didn't have a plan, she didn't have fancy tools, she didn't even have confidence when she started charging.
So what did she have?
Just a willingness to try. And eventually that simple reason, people smiling, then someone paying to keep trying.
And that connects to the bigger picture she paints in the book, right? About personal growth.
Absolutely. It explains why she weaves in so much about personal development. She mentions it took her 12 long years. And during that time, she got a psychology degree and a life coaching certification.
Wow.
Just to finally be able to give herself the kind of encouragement and permission she'd always easily given to other people.
That's powerful.
Yeah. And she says the whole point of the book is to share that hard-won truth, not some easy, sugar-coated success story.
So for you listening right now, maybe thinking, okay, I have this idea, but I don't know where to start, or I don't have the money, or I don't have the skills yet. The author's message seems incredibly simple. You've already started. Just by seeking out this knowledge, by reading the book, or even just listening to us talk about it right now, you're already in motion.
Exactly. And she gives this wonderfully liberating list of things you can just stop worrying about right now based on her journey.
Okay, what's on the don't worry list?
You don't need a commercial kitchen to start. You don't need to know everything before you start. You don't even need all the right tools yet.
That second one. You don't need to know everything before you start. That hits hard, I think.
Right.
Because we use wanting perfect knowledge as the best excuse for never actually doing the thing. She's basically saying, Go ahead, accept that your first attempts might be kind of ugly or imperfect.
She boils it down so well. The only real requirement, passion and a willingness to just keep going.
Hmm.
Her words were, even when your cake leans to one side.
Huh. Love it.
Underneath all the baking talk, the fondant, the flour, this whole journey is really about life stuff, isn't it? Healing, setting boundaries, finding your self-worth, and just having the guts to keep showing up, flaws and all.
That acceptance of the imperfect, the willingness to put the horrible but love-filled cake out there, maybe that's the real starting asset.
I think so. So, just to recap quickly, the road to making a side project work is almost never straight. For her, it was boxed mix to homemade, back to boxed, then finally homemade again.
Yeah, definitely not linear.
It's often driven by need, not just passion, and it takes serious effort. That's the grind behind the buttercream, the things that really count. Persistence, being resourceful, and just being okay with not being perfect right away.
Okay, so as a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on, think about the author's introversion again. How she failed at that face-to-face Sunday dinner marketing, but years later found success using social media, a platform that let her market in a totally different way, one that suited her. So here's the question for you. What current lack of a specific skill, maybe it's public speaking for you or networking or traditional sales, what skill that feels impossible today might be completely transformed by new platforms or new tools or just new ways of thinking that emerge over your journey?
Yeah, what might technology or just time enable you to master or maybe bypass tomorrow?
Something to think about as you start or continue your own grind. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.